Alright everybody, welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden. So today, what I want to talk to you about is it's planting time. Alright, I've already planted a bunch of stuff. I did my square foot garden, which I'll show you here in a little bit. I've done, well of course we got strawberries growing. I've got my potatoes already planted. I've got some, bok choy, which is the wrong time to plant, but we'll get some seeds off of that. I have some collards behind me. You see some dill. All of this over here is broccoli that's going to seed, which I'm going to go ahead and collect all the seed from. And I've got garlic and onions. I've got some kale. I've got some collards. I have some Swiss chard and so on. But I want to talk to you about what to plant. Today is March the 8th. March the 8th, according to the almanac.com, which is like the old farmer's almanac, is the average last date of frost here in Northeast Florida. All right, Jacksonville specifically in my zip code. So what I want to do, I have a list. Well, I looked at a list on the almanac.com, and it had pretty much the same kind of stuff as what's on here as far as what you need to get planted now. Being here in Florida, up in the Jacksonville area, one of the issues you run into is that if you don't get it planted soon enough, then by the time it really starts to mature, the hot weather and the real bad humidity starts to come about, and then you start getting into the brown season, I call it, where pretty much everything dies and turns brown. Unless you have some shade. So you got to beat that hot season, the brown season, so to speak. So anything that takes some time, you got to get planted as soon as you possibly can. I know in other areas you have a very short growing season. We actually have a very long growing season, but the problem is that it kind of dies right in the middle. Basically from the middle of July and most of August and into September, typically, you're going to find that it's really hard to keep anything growing unless you got a pretty good amount of shade. So I do want to go over this list. I have a list here in my little binder, which is a good idea to have if you haven't started one already. Get your garden binder. I mean, I have a list here. I don't know if you can see this. And this came from University of North Florida, and it shows all the different things that you can plant. It's easily accessible online. I also have this other chart in my binder, and this is a chart that shows all of the different, I got it off of Pinterest, but it shows all the different things and how well they grow together. Things that like each other, things that don't like each other, and so on. All right, but I'm going to go off of the planting calendar for now, and let's talk about February. So, obviously it's March the 8th, last day of, the last expected frost date here in North Jacksonville. So in February, you're supposed to have planted cucumbers, eggplant, peppers, tomatoes, beets, broccoli, cabbage, carrots, celery, Chinese cabbage, collards, endive, kale, kohlrabi, leeks, lettuce, onions, parsley, potatoes, English peas, radishes, and turnips. All right. In March it says bush beans, which I have planted, pole beans. I probably won't do pole beans this time around. I like the bush beans because they're bushes. I do have a couple of pole beans here and there, but I'm just not going to do them, I don't think, this time around. Cantaloupes, which I will get started here this month. Corn, man, I don't know. Every time I've tried to grow corn, it has not done well. And I've tried different times of the year. I tried planting it late, I tried planting it early. I don't know, I don't think I have the soil for corn. So we'll see. I have some cucumbers planted. Eggplant, which is a really good grower in the summer, and okra, if you like okra, which we don't. Black-eyed peas, peppers. Now I have my pepper plants in the greenhouse still, but they're only about an inch tall. So I had planted seeds and the seeds did not come up. So I put the seeds into a plastic bag with a wet paper towel. They sprouted, and so I've taken those sprouts and put them into pots, and so they're trying to grow up. So I'm a little behind on the peppers. I may go buy some pepper plants this year. Potatoes already got planted. Pumpkin, I'm going to do the Seminole pumpkin. I will get those planted here soon. Hang on, lost it. Summer squash, which I have planted some spaghetti squash. Winter squash, which is actually winter squash. Tomatoes. Now tomatoes, I've got a few planted, and I'm going to get the rest of my plants out here over the next week or two. Carrots, I have some planted. I'm going to plant some more. Celery, which I do have planted. Collards, got them going. Kohlrabi I got going. Leeks, I've never really planted leeks. Not really sure. Lettuce, I got lettuce all over the place. Parsley, I have a row I tried to plant, but nothing has come up, so I may have to try that again. English peas, which I do have some peas. I planted some of the old seed I had, but unfortunately only about 3 of them came up. So I bought some new seeds, so I'm going to replant them. Radishes, which I'm going to throw some more radishes in. And turnips, I've never really done turnips. I'm not even sure how to eat them. But that's what's listed out for the month of March. So if you haven't gotten started yet, man, you really need to get on it. I know that if you're up in the northern area, you still got maybe snow on the ground and some cold temperatures. But here in the Jacksonville area, here in 9A, you really need to get on it. I highly recommend you start planting things now. And I mean, so far it's actually been pretty warm. I mean, right now, today is supposed to be mid-60s, and it's supposed to progress towards the 80s at the end of the week. And you're going to start running into problems where the heat is too high for the seeds to germinate, or the seedlings won't take the heat and they'll die off. If you don't have your lettuce, and if you don't have your things like Swiss chard or like spinach, if you don't have them planted yet, you got to get on it, man, because you know, as soon as that really hardcore heat starts to hit, they're going to bolt and they're going to not taste as good anymore, and you're just not going to have any kind of production. So I highly recommend you get on it. All right. And with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and do some planting. I did look up chives. I have a package of garlic chives I went out and bought here at the what is it, farm supply store. So I'm going to try and plant some of these chives around my tomatoes. Now, to be fair, I have never been able to grow chives. I can't grow chives or onions from seed. I'm not sure why that is. I've tried several different times. I've got a row of some of the seeds I saved from my onions. Nothing came up, not a single one. And I planted them probably December, January time frame, and I got nothing out of it. So I'm going to try this again. I have done chive seeds before and got nothing. I ended up having to go and buy plants from the store. But I haven't seen any plants at the store recently. But I want some more chives. I do have a few scattered about, but I'm going to try and get some more. So with that being said, let's go take a look at where we're going to plant them. So now what we're going to do is right here, down in this area, I have my tomatoes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plant some chives right here. So first I'm going to kind of mess with the dirt a little bit, kind of clear it up. Now tomatoes and chives work well together, all right? It's something that will help keep the bugs away, and theoretically might improve the taste of the tomatoes. But either way, this is some nice loose dirt. It's got a lot of compost worked into it. So I'm really hoping that I can actually get chives grown. I will not be defeated. I told you before, I don't have a green thumb. I just have an indomitable spirit. Well, that sounds important, doesn't it? But I'm just not going to give up. I just keep trying. I'll try different ways, different things, until eventually I hit upon a success. So I'm taking the dirt, I'm going to loosen it all up real nice. This is nice moist dirt because I've been keeping this watered because of my tomatoes. Alright. We're even going to encroach over here onto the side that's got the cilantro. This is cilantro over here. Alright, so these are my garlic chives. it says to plant them about 1/4 inch deep. So I'm just going to run a line along here. I'll run a line along here. I'll run a line along here. And then a line along here. 1/4 inch deep is not very deep. So basically you're just looking to barely cover the seeds. Now chive and onion seeds both are very small. You got to be careful when you're opening this stuff. Otherwise you'll get seeds everywhere and lose all your seed. So I'll save some of those. Now we're planting pretty close together. Chives seem to grow well in bunches, so just gonna plant them like so. Just kind of sprinkle them in. And you can get more specific if you want, 1 per inch or something like that. I am going to be a little more liberal, because I really want them to come up. I really don't want to have to deal with this again, where I got to go buy plants. The idea is chives will bloom out, and once they bloom, I'll put another row over here. Once they bloom, hopefully I'll be able to get seeds from the blooms. And these are a perennial, they will keep coming back. Do that. Get the chunks out. And we're just going to smooth over the dirt. Just enough to cover them. Now, I will tell you, I was kind of surprised when I looked at the almanac. Man, this shows a lot of things that they think you should never plant. Well, when you look at planting outside or sowing directly into the soil, a lot of things it says NA on. And I'm assuming that's because they feel that you shouldn't plant a lot of things outside. Everything should basically start from seedlings. Now, I'm of the mind that is not necessarily true, but when it comes to chives, I haven't been successful. I haven't decided yet. I may start some of these in some pots and then see what works out. And once they get big, I can replant them somewhere else. All right, so once we got that done, then we'll go ahead and grab a hose and water them. Now, one of the things about this being here is because I have my tomato here, these should get plenty of water. Because I will always water my tomatoes just a little bit extra and make sure I soak it down real nice and deep, so that hopefully they will grow big and strong. Kind of like giving milk to your kids, you know. Makes the body stronger. Alright, so there you go. Now I planted my chives. You'll get to find out, just like me, whether or not I'm successful this year. Alright, so once again, it's the beginning of March. Today is March the 8th, which is the average last day of frost here in my zip code in Northeast Florida. And if you live up in this area, I highly recommend you start getting some stuff in the ground now. If you haven't already started your starts, you're kind of late. You may not be able to get tomato starts growing and then get them out into the garden in time to get a good solid harvest. So you may want to buy starts if you haven't already got them growing. Like I said, it's a limited time offer. Nature only gives you this window for a very short time to get things growing while it's still spring and the weathers are semi-cool still. Alright? So give it a thought. I've already given you the list of what I recommend you to plant. This list came from the University of Florida. I'll try and put the link down in the description. And it's a good guide to go by. It tells you kind of what to plant in this area and when. I use it all the time. I mean, literally all the time. I will tell you that, you know, once you start getting down into May, June, July, and August, pretty much the only thing you plant is eggplant, okra, black-eyed peas, sweet potatoes, and winter squash, because everything else is going to die. So you got a limited time to get this in the ground and still growing. All right, if this is the first time you've grown a garden, get to work. All right, ain't no excuse. The results will speak for themselves. If you don't start now, your results will not be as good as they could have been. All right, so thanks once again for stopping by. Do me a favor and like this video and any other videos you might enjoy. Otherwise, subscribe, give me a comment, let me know what you think, and most importantly, grow some.